Thanks for tuning in to Kalkine TV. I'm James and this is the Smart Market Insights show live from Sydney. In this edition we'll take a look at trends that can become catalysts for Australia's growth in 2022, beginning with a shift away from globalisation. The pandemic-induced restrictions have required businesses to improvise constantly and attempt to move forward despite supply chain disruptions. With international trade being halted or at the very least restricted, many companies had to source materials domestically. Additionally, growing trade tensions continued to raise inflationary concerns, urging countries to develop a greater degree of self-reliance. The US-China trade war served as enough proof of how tensions between two superpowers can affect business globally. Thus, a growing wave of self-dependence could be seen among big nations in the coming year. We're also seeing a more pronounced digital wave occurring. Digitisation is the most visible byproduct of the pandemic. The major sweep of digitisation turned out to be convenient for both customers and sellers during the pandemic. Across 2020 and 2021, companies who had traditionally relied heavily on their brick and mortar store were required to up the ante in terms of their digital footprint. However, many small businesses in Australia are yet to make the digital shift. Not only would this move allow them to join the ongoing trend, but it also is expected to boost their sales and improve their reach in the market. The government can also help in this sphere by promoting a shift to digitisation at the ground level. Another trend that was accelerated throughout 2021 and is set to continue into 2022 is the adoption of environmentally conscious methods. Between awareness of Bitcoin's environmental impact and acceleration in the uptake of EVs, the G20 summit and numerous world powers implementing greener policies, the push towards environmentally friendly products has strengthened. The onus to carry forward this vision of a carbon-free economy now lies on both the Australian government and businesses. This can be made possible by switching to cleaner forms of energy generation. And with a shift towards digitisation and green technology, we're also likely to see improved technology skills across the workforce more broadly. For smoother functioning of a digital economy, technology skills are a fundamental prerequisite. Technological literacy should be promoted starting from primary school and then moving all the way through to tertiary education. Australia needs a greater level of technologically friendly population that can quickly adapt to changing market trends. This requires an improvement in domestic skill set, which can help build self-dependence for Australia. So we've taken a close look at the emerging trends to help the growth trajectory of the country, but after a short break, we'll dive deeper into the Australian economy and whether inflation can indeed be staved off. Stay tuned. Tune in to get the latest information.
Whether it's about market movements or the currency graph,
Sectoral coverage or industry news.
we cover it all on our news segments.
Be on top of the latest news
With Kalkine TV.
Welcome back to Smart Market Insights, exclusive to Kalkine TV. I'm James, live from Sydney. Let's now take a close look at the Australian economy and whether we can stave off inflation as we look to move past the COVID-19 era. The Reserve Bank of Australia, or the RBA, expects the Australian economy to observe a further but only gradual pickup in underlying inflation over the coming years. Meanwhile, the central bank is of the view that the current rise in inflation levels is not enough to prompt a monetary policy tightening. In the present global context, expectations of a higher inflation rate make Australia appear as somewhat of an oddball among nations. RBA Governor Philip Lowe in the December monetary policy meeting stated that the present underlying inflation rate of 2.1% is actually quite low. A small pickup in the rate is expected, which can push the rate to 2.5% by 2023. Governor Lowe's comments came alongside a backdrop of soaring property prices, which were also addressed in its monetary policy meeting speech. He mentioned that lending standards should be maintained to keep the housing sector in check amid record low rates. So are expectations of policy tightening a long shot? Well, Australia has become associated with a long-standing monetary easing process, which has far exceeded the expansionary measures taken up by several other nations. Even as the headline inflation sits at 3%, well within the central bank's target range, the cash rate is still maintained at 10 basis points. However, it is the underlying inflation that the RBA has its eyes fixed on, as it does not incorporate seasonal effects in its measurement. Wages are likely to be the stimulant moving forward. The labour market has been waxing and waning based on the degree of lockdown restrictions in the economy. Though jobs growth continues to remain subdued owing to government-induced restrictions, rising job advertisements could ease off some tension from the labour market. In a nutshell, the economy is improving slowly and stands on the brink of some interesting development. The pandemic has been the cause of a paradigm shift in business operations, helping them to stay afloat despite various challenges. So, if the government puts some of these changes and trends at the forefront and companies remain flexible, 2022 can also turn out to be a very fruitful year for the country. Well, that's all for now. Make sure to keep it locked on Kalkine TV for the latest market updates, business news and exclusive interviews. I'm James Preston, signing off for now.